Australia is one of the richest countries in the world, so why can't so many of its own citizens afford a house? In Australia today, working a full-time job is no longer a guarantee you can buy a home, especially not in Sydney. This isn't just a headline. It's the harsh reality for millions, and this chart right here proves it. For decades, the great Australian dream was simple: work hard, save up, and buy a place to call your own. But today, that dream is turning into a nightmare, particularly in Western Sydney, a region that's home to over 2 million people. It's a place where families have built their lives for generations, where vibrant communities have grown. But now, it's at a breaking point. We're not just talking about numbers on a spreadsheet, we're talking about real human stories. Young people who see their future slipping away, families crammed into overcrowded rentals, and new immigrants who arrive seeking opportunity only to find themselves locked out of the property market. So what's really going on? How did one of the most prosperous nations on earth end up in a housing crisis so severe that it's causing an entire region to buckle under the pressure? Today, we're going deep into the heart of Western Sydney to uncover the truth. This isn't just an Australian problem. It's a story that will resonate with anyone in a major Western city, whether you're in Toronto, Los Angeles, or London. Let's unpack why Western Sydney is on the verge of collapse. First, let's talk about the sheer scale of the problem. House prices in Sydney have become completely detached from reality, and especially from wages. Let's put this in perspective. Back in the 1990s, the average house price in Sydney was about 4 to 5 times the average annual income. Manageable, right? Fast forward to today, and that ratio has exploded to over 15 times the average income. 15 times. So, if you're a young person or a family earning a typical salary, even if you save diligently, the goalposts keep moving further and further away. You're essentially priced out before you even start. Think about what that means for a place like Western Sydney. This has always been the engine room of the city, the affordable heartland where working-class families could build a life. But now, even here, the median house price is soaring towards $1 million. We're seeing a massive surge in what experts call housing stress. This is where more than 30% of your pre-tax income is spent just on keeping a roof over your head. In some parts of Western Sydney, over half the households in the rental market are in severe housing stress. People are making impossible choices every single day. Do I pay the rent, or do I buy enough groceries for my kids this week? Do I pay the electricity bill, or do I afford the medication I need? This isn't an exaggeration. It's the lived experience for a growing number of residents. This level of financial pressure creates a ripple effect of social problems, from mental health issues to family breakdowns. The social fabric of the community is being torn apart, one unaffordable house at a time. Now, you might be thinking, what about other countries? Is Australia unique? Well, yes and no. Let's compare it to the USA and Canada. Both have their own housing affordability hotspots, like Vancouver or California. But Australia's problem, and Sydney's in particular, is on another level. A key reason for this is our unique combination of tax policies. We have something called negative gearing, which essentially allows property investors to write off their losses against their other income. This heavily incentivizes buying investment properties, often leaving them empty, rather than homes for people to live in. On top of that, we have a capital gains tax discount that further fuels property speculation. These policies create a system where property is treated less like a home and more like a stock market asset. So while a young family in America might be competing with other families to buy a home, a family in Sydney is competing with a global network of investors who have significant tax advantages. It's an uneven playing field. This creates a deep sense of injustice. Young Australians see the system as rigged against them. They're following the rules, they're working hard, but the game is stacked in favor of those who already have wealth. This isn't just an economic issue, it's a generational one. A profound sense of social frustration is brewing. People are angry. They feel betrayed by a system that was supposed to provide them with opportunity, but is instead locking them into a lifetime of rent and uncertainty. This frustration is palpable on the streets of Western Sydney. So, policy is a huge part of the problem. But it's not the only factor. Let's talk about infrastructure, or rather, the lack of it. Western Sydney has seen explosive population growth over the last 2 decades. People have been pushed further and further west in search of affordability, but the development of essential services hasn't kept pace. We're talking about a massive infrastructure deficit. Picture this: entire suburbs of new housing estates popping up, but with no train line for miles. Only a few bus routes that are already overcrowded, and roads that are gridlocked from dawn till dusk. Some residents face commutes of over 2 hours each way just to get to their jobs in the city. That's 4 hours a day, unpaid, just traveling. 4 hours they're not spending with their children, not resting, not contributing to their local community. It's a huge drain on their quality of life, their finances, and their mental health. And it's not just transport. There's a critical shortage of hospitals, schools, and even green spaces. Classrooms are overflowing, and waiting lists for medical procedures are getting longer. The promise was livable communities, but the reality for many is isolated, poorly serviced housing developments. This creates a two-tiered Sydney. While those in the affluent eastern and northern suburbs enjoy world-class amenities, those in the west are left behind, struggling with inadequate infrastructure. This geographical divide is deepening the social and economic inequality, fueling a sense of abandonment and resentment. The government is trying to play catch-up with projects like the new airport and metro lines, but for many residents it feels like too little, too late. The damage to the community's trust and well-being has already been done. This brings us to the most important part of the story, the human cost. Behind all the data, the charts, and the policy debates are real people whose lives are being profoundly affected. Let's talk about the young people. A whole generation in Western Sydney is looking at their future and seeing a dead end. They watch their parents struggle, they see the insane house prices, and they feel a sense of hopelessness. Many are delaying major life decisions, getting married, having children because they have no financial security. The dream of owning a home, something their parents took for granted, feels like a fantasy. They are being forced to leave the communities they grew up in, moving away from their families and support networks, just to find somewhere affordable to live. Then there are the families. Imagine trying to raise children in an overcrowded apartment because you couldn't afford a house with a backyard. Imagine the constant stress of knowing that a single rent increase could force you to uproot your kids from their school and their friends. This instability has a huge impact on child development and family cohesion. The pressure is immense. And let's not forget the immigrants who chose Australia for a better life. Western Sydney has always been a multicultural hub, a place where new arrivals could find their footing. But now, they arrive with hope and are met with a brutal housing market. They work essential jobs in healthcare, in construction, in transport, the very jobs that keep Sydney running, yet they are denied the basic security of a stable home. This is the human story that gets lost in the economic analysis. It's a story of broken dreams, of immense stress, and of a growing sense of despair. When a society can no longer provide a secure and affordable home for the people who work hard and play by the rules, it's a sign that something is fundamentally broken. So where do we go from here? Is Western Sydney doomed to collapse? Not necessarily, but it requires urgent and courageous action. The solutions are complex, but they're not impossible. First and foremost, we need bold policy reform. The tax incentives that favor investors over homeowners, like negative gearing and the capital gains tax discount, need a serious overhaul. We need to shift the balance back towards housing as a place to live, not just an asset to trade. This is politically difficult, yes, but it's essential to address the root cause of the speculation driving up prices. Second, we need a massive coordinated investment in public and social housing. For decades, governments have retreated from this responsibility, leaving everything to the private market. The market has failed. We need to build tens of thousands of new quality public homes to provide a safety net for those who are most vulnerable and to increase the overall supply of affordable rentals. This would take pressure off the entire system. Third, the infrastructure deficit in Western Sydney must be addressed as a national priority. We can't just keep building houses on the fringe without also building the train lines, the schools, the hospitals, and the parks that make a community livable. This requires long-term planning and investment, not just short-term, reactive fixes. Finally, we need to empower local communities. We need planning laws that prioritize good design, green space, and community needs over developer profits. We need to give residents a real say in the future of their own neighborhoods. This isn't just about building houses, it's about building communities where people can thrive. The future of Western Sydney, and indeed the future of the Australian dream, hangs in the balance. The anger and frustration are real, and if we don't act now, the social consequences could be devastating. This is a choice we have to make as a country. Do we want a society that works only for the wealthy, or one that provides opportunity and security for everyone? The people of Western Sydney deserve an answer. Thank you so much for watching. This is a really important issue that affects millions of us, not just in Sydney but across the country. If this story resonated with you, please share your own experiences in the comments below. Let's get a real conversation going. And if you found this video insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the issues that matter. Your support helps us continue making this content. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.